Welcome to the Mobile Device Manager Plus training program. Let me introduce myself. I am Alice Selvin, a product specialist at ManageEngine, and I will be your trainer today. Let's begin with the session. So this session is a training schedule on how to manage your applications and also ensure device security. This is a 3-week training program, and we are currently on week 2. In last week's training program, we took a look at all of the different enrollment methods that you can use to enroll your devices into MDM and also provision them to make sure that they're ready to access corporate data. In the next week's session, we will talk about the modern management of your Windows 10 and Mac devices. In case you have missed any of the sessions, you can view a recording of the same found in the link given below. So let's have a look at our training agenda for today. We will start off with an overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus, which will include a general introduction about the product and the prerequisites involved. The next section will be on application management, where we will show you how you can install, uninstall, and update apps, either manually or without any user intervention needed. We'll also have a look at how you can test and deploy your in-house developed apps. In the next section, we'll see how you can secure the data on your devices by blocking certain apps or web content, locking down your devices to run only on a specific set of apps, which we call kiosk mode. We'll see how you can remotely troubleshoot your devices in case of any device issues. We'll see how you can schedule, automate, and even restrict your OS updates, and also how to achieve location-based compliance by using the geofencing feature. Since mobile devices are compact and can get easily lost or misplaced, we'll see how you can secure the data on these devices in case something like this occurs. We will conclude the session with a few scenarios that you might have come across in your organization and talk about solutions for the same. So let's dive into the overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus. Mobile Device Manager Plus supports smartphones and tablets running on Apple, Android, and Windows. In the case of Apple, we also provide support for macOS and tvOS devices. We also support Android TVs, Windows 10 laptops, Surface Hubs, and desktops as well. We are also one of the few MDM solutions in the market that provide support for Chromebooks as well. Mobile Device Manager Plus is available as an add-on to Desktop Central, our unified endpoint management solution. This product is available on premises as well as on cloud. If you are looking to manage only your mobile devices, you can go for the standalone version of Mobile Device Manager Plus, which is available on premises and on cloud. Suppose you are an MSP in our audience, we would suggest that you go for the MSP version of MDM, which is also available on premises and on cloud, and it has a few MSP-specific features, like your customer segregation and multi-tenant architecture. Now, we understand that your organization would require to closely integrate with other applications to function along with MDM. So we have integrated with a few top help desk management solutions, such as Spiceworks, Jira Service Desk, Zendesk Support, ServiceNow, and our in-house help desk management software, Service Desk Plus. In addition to these, we also integrate with Zoho CRM and Zoho Creator, using which you can easily create custom applications and then distribute them to your devices using MDM. In case you have any other applications apart from these that you would like to integrate along with MDM, you can view a list of the publicly available APIs given in the link below. So this is the Mobile Device Manager Plus architecture, and it consists of 3 main components: the MDM server, the notification services, and your managed devices. So first, the MDM server will contact the notification services. That is your Apple Push Notification Service for Apple, Firebase Cloud Messaging for Android, and your Windows Notification Services for Windows. Now, these notification services will then wake up the devices, and the devices will in turn contact the MDM server for any tasks that need to be done on them. Now, since your mobile devices cannot always remain within the same network, you need to NAT your internal IP address along with the public IP address. And since this might raise a few security concerns in your organization, we allow you to optionally configure a secure gateway. This is to ensure that any communication that takes place between the managed devices and the MDM server will be routed through the secure gateway. If you are using the cloud version of our product, you do not need to configure any of these settings. Mobile Device Manager Plus also allows you to integrate with a few directory services such as Azure, Okta, and G Suite. Now, all of the communication that I just mentioned is facilitated by the use of ports. For example, for the device to be able to communicate with the MDM server, the port 9383 needs to be kept open. Similarly, here are a few other ports that we use for communication. If you would like to view a list of all of the ports that we use at Mobile Device Manager Plus, you can access the link provided. So this is a question that might have popped up in your mind. How does MDM manage devices? Well, in the case of Apple, Windows, and Chrome devices, we manage these devices using the native client present on them. However, for your Android devices, you need to install the MeMDM app on the device to be able to manage it. Now let's take a walkthrough of the product console to help you navigate through the session better. So we are now on the MDM console. This is the Home tab, where you can see the number of devices that have been enrolled, devices that are yet to be enrolled, devices that have lost contact with the MDM server, and similar details. So here you have a graphical representation of the types of devices being managed, be it a smartphone, a tablet, or a laptop, and the platforms that these devices are running on. Here you will have a summary of apps based on whether they have been allowed or restricted on devices, and also a last contact summary showing you the number of devices based on when they have contacted the server. All of the activity that takes place on the MDM console is recorded under the audit log field here. So the device management module is what we'll be dealing with extensively today. Here you can see devices and the groups that they've been assigned to. Profiles are policies or restrictions that you can apply to your devices. The app repository is where we will be adding and distributing all of our apps to devices. You can automate your app updates and your OS updates. You can push certificates to devices and manage the content on them as well. In case you would like to remotely notify your users about any important information, you can use the announcements tool. And to initiate a remote troubleshooting session, you can use the remote control tool. We also allow you to secure access to your Exchange server and your Office 365 applications. You can even execute location-based commands on your devices by configuring a geofence policy. On the Inventory tab, you can get granular details about your devices, the apps on them, and also the device's live location. You can scan the devices regularly to ensure that they always stay in contact with the MDM server. This feature here allows you to remotely monitor and track the battery levels of all of your managed devices. On the Enrollment tab, you can see a list of all of the devices that you have enrolled into MDM and the different methods that you can use to enroll your Apple, Android, Windows, and Chrome devices as well. You can predefine reports based on certain criteria like the apps on the devices or by the device's model and schedule these to be mailed to you. You can also create your own custom query reports. On the Admin tab, you can set up your product by configuring your NAT, proxy, and mail server settings, and also other configurations like your privacy, security, and database settings. If you click on the Support tab, you will see that we have a variety of blogs, how-tos, and similar resources that can help you gain a better understanding of our product. While using our product, if you face any issues, you can contact a live technician or call the toll-free number to help your issue get resolved. So now that we've had a walkthrough of the product, let's get into the session. So this section of the webinar will be on how you can install and manage all of your business applications. So let's say I am the IT admin of an organization called Zilker. And at Zilker, we use mobile devices for our day-to-day tasks. So as an IT admin, it would be my duty to see to it that all of these corporate devices have the required set of applications installed on them. So I'm going to be adding, distributing, and installing apps on my devices by using Mobile Device Manager Plus. So this is how app management works in MDM. The first step is to create an app repository on the MDM server. You can do this by adding your store apps and your enterprise apps. Once you've added the apps, you can go ahead and distribute these to your devices, after which the installation process will be initiated from the respective stores. As for your in-house apps, the installation process will be initiated from the MDM server itself because we will be directly uploading our in-house app files there. So now let's take a look at how we can add our apps. To add an app, under the device management module, click on App Repository. So this is where we will be adding and distributing all of our apps to devices. So as you can see, I've already added a list of apps here. So let's take a look at how to add a new one. To add a new app, click on the Add App option. And these are all of the different kinds of apps that we support. As for now, I am choosing to add an Apple Store app. So enter in the name of the app that you're looking for. I'm choosing to look for the Zoho Creator app. Click on the app. So now what has happened is the MDM server has contacted the Apple Store to fetch the required app details, because of which the bundle identifier, app version, Apple Store ID, and the category of the app have been automatically filled in. Click on Next. And these are a few app policies that we recommend to keep enabled. So the first app policy is to remove the app on the MDM profiles removal. So let's say a user has revoked management. In that case, the app will automatically be removed as well. The second app policy is to restrict the backup of app data on iTunes and iCloud services. Both of these app policies are mainly to ensure that no important corporate app data gets retained on the devices. So once you've made sure that these are enabled, click on Next. And you can manage certain functions on the app itself by making use of app configurations. All you need to do is upload an app configuration data file here. Once you've uploaded this, click on Save to add this app to your repository. So once this app has been added, you can go ahead and distribute it to your devices or your groups. On the Groups and Devices tab, I'm navigating to the Devices tab. And here you can filter out your devices based on their type or by the platform they're running on. I'm choosing to filter out all of my Apple devices. Select the device that you're going to distribute the app to and click on Action. Click on Distribute Apps. And you can either manually look for the app or make use of the filters that we've provided here. Click on the app and choose the installation type as distributed to the app catalog. I will be talking about silent app installation in a few minutes. Click on Select to distribute the app. So let's take a look at how this looks on the device end. So your user will have to open the MDM app and click on App Catalog. In the App Catalog, they'll have to click on the Install button. And once they do, they will be prompted to sign in to their iTunes account. Once they enter this iTunes credentials and click on OK, the installation process will be initiated. Once the app is installed, your employees can go ahead and use this app on the device. So the method that we just took a look at is called manual installation of apps. A few conditions need to be met for this method. The first is that every device should be provisioned with a valid iTunes account. And also, a bit of user intervention is needed to finish your app installation process. However, this might not be feasible in every organization. Let's say you are not able to provision each device with an iTunes account, or simply the fact that you do not want your users to intervene while you are installing an app. So to simplify this process, Mobile Device Manager Plus allows you to silently install apps on your devices. So you can automate your app installation process by making use of Apple Business Manager for your iOS devices or Manage Google Play for your Android devices. So integrating both of these with MDM will help us silently install apps. These are the prerequisites that need to be met. The first, create an account with Apple Business Manager or Google. Secondly, your devices should be supervised. Supervising your devices gives you additional control over your Apple devices, and we talked about this in the previous week's session. In case you had missed that session, you can view a recording of it in the link that we had provided earlier. Or if you're still wondering which enrollment method suits your organization, we can schedule a personalized demo for you at your request. The last prerequisite is that your devices should be running on Android 5.0 or a version above it. So this is how silent app installation works in MDM. The first step, you will have to integrate the portals, that is your Apple Business Manager portal or your Google Admin Console along with the MDM server. Once this integration is done, you can go ahead and approve or purchase apps in the respective portals, after which they will be automatically added to the app repository. This is because of the integration that would have taken place earlier. So now that you have your apps in the repository, you can go ahead and distribute them to your devices and the apps will get silently installed on them. So now let's take a look at how to integrate Apple Business Manager along with MDM. To do this, click on App Repository and select Apple App Management. So this is how your console will look before you've integrated it. So you will have two options, either to configure apps for business or configure apps for school. If you are a school or any other educational institution, you can click on Configure Apps for School. As for now, I am choosing to click on Configure Apps for Business. So the first step is to log into your ABM portal. On the ABM portal, click on Settings and select Apps and Books. Towards your right corner, you will see a list of server tokens. Now you need to download one of these server tokens and then upload them on the MDM console. I'm choosing to download the server token of my head office. Once I've downloaded the server token, on the MDM console, upload it here. So you can either choose to install your apps either without an Apple ID or with a prompt for an Apple ID. Now, since I want my app installation process to be simple and not have any user intervention involved, I'm choosing to click on Without Apple ID. Now, similar to your APNS certificates that we discussed in the previous week's session, your server tokens will also expire every year. So you can enter in an email ID here to be notified when your server token is about to expire. Once you click on Upload Token, your integration process will be done, and this is how it will look on the server. So all of your server token details will be displayed along with when it is going to expire. So now that we have integrated ABM, go back to the ABM portal from where we can add our apps. On the ABM portal, click on Apps and Books and enter in the name of the app that you're looking for. I've chosen to look for the Zoho CRM app. Click on the app, and here you are required to enter in a number of licenses. You will have to enter in the number of licenses for the devices that you're going to be distributing the app to. These licenses are location specific and can be transferred from one server token to another. You will also need to check if this app is device assignable, because only if it is, can you silently install it on your devices. So enter in the number of licenses that you require and click on Get to add the app. So once a day, the MDM server will initiate a sync along with Apple Business Manager in order to add your apps to the repository. If you would want to immediately add your apps to the repository, click on the Sync Apps option. So now that we've added our app, you can go ahead and distribute it. Let's see how to silently install it. Under the Groups and Devices tab, click on Devices. Again, I'm filtering out my Apple devices. Choose the device that you're going to distribute the app to and click on Action. Click on Distribute Apps. Let's say I'm going to distribute the Zoho Show app to my devices. This time, instead of choosing the installation type as distributed to the app catalog, you will have to select the silent installation type. You can also choose to notify your users once you have distributed the app to the device. So once you've chosen the installation type, click on Select to automatically distribute the app. So now let's take a look at how this looks on the device end. So as you can see in the first image, the installation process has begun without any need or a prompt for an Apple ID. Once the app is installed, your end user can use it on this device. So a recommendation from our side would be to always make sure that your device is connected to a Wi-Fi network whenever you're distributing an app that is larger than 200 MB in size. This is mainly because Apple restricts the download of apps if they're larger than 200 MB over a mobile data network. So we just saw how you can silently install apps on Apple devices. Let's take a look at how you can do the same for your Android devices. To do this, we would have to integrate Manage Google Play along with MDM. So on the MDM server, click on App Repository and select Manage Google Play. In case you have not yet integrated it, this is how it will look on the console. So you can register yourself using two different ways. You can register yourself using a G Suite account if you have one, or you can choose to use a Google account that has been associated with your organization. Please note that the features that you get from Manage Google Play will remain the same regardless of what option you choose. As for now, I am choosing to register myself without a G Suite account. Click on Configure Now, and you will be redirected to the Google Admin Console. On the Google Admin Console, click on Get Started and enter in the name of your organization. Your EMM provider's name will be automatically filled in as ManageEngine EMM. Click on Next. And because of the implementation of GDPR, you will be required to enter a few contact details. To mention the details about your data protection officer and your EU representative, agree to the terms and conditions, and click on Confirm. Click on Complete Registration to finish the integration process. So this is how it will look once you've integrated Manage Google Play. Your Manage Google Play details will be displayed here, along with the type of account that you've used and your enterprise ID. So now that we've done with the integration, click on Add Apps to add our Android apps. So let me just show you how this will look. So you can enter in the name of the app that you're looking for. But unlike the ABM method, you are not required to get any specific licenses for this particular app. All you have to do is approve the app. I've chosen to look for the Zoho CRM app. Click on the Approve button. So once you click on the Approve button, you will be asked how you would like to handle certain app permissions. So these permissions will keep the admin aware of what functionalities the app will have access to. So once you click on this Approve button, you will be asked how you would like to handle any new app permissions. So you will have two options. You can either choose to keep the app approved in case of any new permissions, or you can also choose to revoke app approval whenever a new permission is asked for. So once you've added the app, let's go to our Groups and Devices tab to see how we can distribute this silently. Click on the Devices tab. This time I'm choosing to filter out my Android devices. Choose the device that we're going to silently install the Android app to and click on Distribute Apps. Let's say I'm going to distribute the Zoho Writer app to my devices. Choose silent installation and click on select. So now before I show you how this looks on the device's screen, let me just show you about the app permissions that I mentioned. So I'm clicking on an Android app. So once you click on an app, there will be a tab called Permissions. Click on this tab, and this will show you a list of all of the functionalities that this particular app will have access to. So what you can do is you can choose to allow or restrict these permissions on the devices and even give your user control over a few settings. So click on the Save App, and this will update the app permissions. So now that we've updated the permissions, let's take a look at how this looks on the device end. So as you can see in the first image, a work account has been created on the device. After the creation of this work account, your app installation process will be initiated. And once the installation is done, this app will be denoted with an orange briefcase symbol. This is to signify that it is a corporate application. This also helps you separate your personal and corporate workspace. So about the permissions that I mentioned, as you can see, the user will have access to change these few settings, and I've also disabled a few functionalities which they cannot modify. So this is how you can silently install apps on Android devices while managing the permissions as well. Now, all of the applications that you will be managing will be receiving frequent app updates. Along with an app update can come along a new set of features or any improved enhancements. So we always recommend that you update your app to the latest version. This is because the latest version of the app could be the fix to any existing security problems or any issues that might have been affecting productivity. In order to control your app updates, the apps should be purchased through Apple Business Manager and should be device assignable as well. So now let's go to the MDM console and see how we manage our app updates. So beneath the app repository option, click on Automate App Updates. So if you enable this option and save it, once a day, the MDM server will carry out a check on the App Store, Play Store, or Windows Business Store and look for any available app updates and then automatically distribute it to devices. However, if you want to be aware with what the new features or functionalities on the app are, you do not need to enable this option. Click on the app repository, and here there will be a message displayed showing you how many apps have available updates ready to be distributed. Click on this. I'm selecting the Google app. So here it will show you the number of devices that this app has been distributed to. So you can choose to update the app on a single device. We always recommend that you distribute the app update to a single test device before deploying it in your entire production environment. So choose the device and click on Distribute. Select the type of distribution and click on Distribute App. So you can then go onto your test device and verify how this update is functioning. And then return back to the MDM console and click on Update All if you wish to distribute this update to all of your devices. You can choose your app distribution type, either to distribute the update to the app catalog from where the user will have to install the update, or choose to silently install it. So this is how you can manage your app updates. Now, a lot of organizations rely a lot on using in-house developed apps. Here are a few questions that you might have had when it comes to managing in-house apps. The first question, is an account with Apple Business Manager or Manage Google Play mandatory? No, you do not require any separate account with Apple or Google in order to manage an in-house app. Secondly, can we test the apps before deploying them? Yes, you can test out different versions of apps before you deploy it to your work environment. The last question, can I add multiple versions of an app? Yes, Mobile Device Manager Plus does allow you to add and distribute and test out multiple versions of a single app to your devices. So here are the conditions that need to be met in order to manage in-house apps. For iOS devices, your devices should be supervised. And for Android, the devices should either be Samsung devices or should have been provisioned as a device owner. So the device owner setting is similar to that of a supervised device, and it gives you advanced control over your Android devices. Now let's go to the MDM console to add our enterprise apps. On the app repository, click on the Add App option. And as you can see, we provide support to add Apple, Android, Windows, and Chrome enterprise apps. As for now, I'm choosing to add an Android enterprise app. Click on Upload File and select the APK file that you have readily available. So the MDM server will fetch the required app details, because of which the bundle identifier and the app version have been automatically filled in. So you can then go ahead and choose the category of devices, category of the app, and the devices that you need it to be supported for. In order for you to easily identify the different versions of an app that you will be adding, we allow you to add a version label as well. So I'm choosing to have this version as my production version. Once you've filled in these details, click on Save to add this app to your repository. So now this app has been added, you can then go ahead and distribute it to your groups and devices. Again, we always recommend that you distribute it to a test device before deploying it to all of your devices. Click on Distribute, select your device, choose the distribution type, and click on Distribute. So this is how distribution also works for in-house apps. Now, let's say you have a higher version of the same app that you want to add to MDM. So you can do this as well. Click on Add App, Android Enterprise App, and upload the new version of the app that you have available. So once the MDM server fetches the app details, it will detect that it is a higher version of the same existing app. So you can either choose to click on Update, which will replace the older version, or choose to add this as a separate version as well. I want to add this as a new version. So enter in a version label to help you identify. I'm choosing to add this as a pre-released version. Click on Proceed to add the app. So now that this app has two versions available, you will have to distribute the second version. To easily do this, click on the name of the app itself, and here you will be shown the different versions that you have uploaded to MDM. I'm clicking on version 2. So now I can choose to distribute this to my groups and devices again. Click on the distribute option, select your device again, and click on distribute app. So now once I go and verify on this test device, let's say I have found a few errors that are on this version, and I have corrected these errors in yet another higher version of the same app. So you can choose to replace this pre-released version by clicking on Action, select Update, and upload the highest version of the app that you have available. So MDM will detect about the app details, and you can then replace the older version by clicking on Update. So you can choose to either update this on a single device or on all of your devices again. If you want to update this app on all your devices, you can choose the Update All option, choose your distribution type again, and select Update App. So far, we have taken a look at how you can add, distribute, and even update apps on your devices. But there are certain apps that you would not want your users to be installing on their devices. These could be any apps that you consider malicious or any apps that might be hindering productivity in your work environment. So you can prevent users from installing such apps by creating a policy for those. To create a profile, click on the Profiles tab and select Create a Profile. I'm choosing to create an Android profile now. Provide a name for your profile and select Continue. Click on the Restrictions bar and navigate to Applications. So the first restriction here says that users can install unapproved apps. So you can go ahead and restrict this. So what this restriction does is it prevents your users from uninstalling any apps apart from the ones that you distribute from MDM. So once you've restricted this, click on Save and publish your profile. So after publishing your profile, you will have to associate it with groups or devices. Click on Groups and Devices. I'm selecting a group. Click on Action, select Associate Profile. Let's look for the profile that we just created. Choose the profile and click on Select. So once this profile gets associated with the group or device, the users can no longer install any apps apart from the ones that have been allowed from MDM. So we just saw how you can block apps. What if there are certain apps that are already available on the devices that you do not want your users to have access to? So you can block such apps as well by navigating to the Inventory tab, clicking on Apps. This shows you a list of all of the apps available on devices. Click on Settings. So you can choose when and how you want to uninstall the app. You can choose to uninstall the app either immediately or notify your users and then uninstall the app, or notify your users for a specific number of days. Once you've selected your preference, click on Apps and choose the apps that you want to block on the devices. Click on Blocklist app. So you can choose to remotely uninstall this app either from all of the devices or from specific groups and devices only. Once you've chosen your groups and devices, click on Blocklist to block the app. So now what will happen is the app will be remotely uninstalled from the device and your users can no longer install it back. So the next question, how can you prevent users from accessing malicious websites on devices? So we just saw how you can block or restrict apps, but let's say the same apps are available as web services. You definitely would not want your users to have access to such websites. So you can prevent this as well by creating another profile for it. Click on the Profiles tab, select Create a Profile. Let's go with an iOS profile this time. A name for your profile and click on Continue. Click on the Web Content Filter tab. So here you can choose to either allow or restrict certain URLs. I'm choosing to block certain URLs. So let's say I do not want my users to have access to YouTube. Enter in the URL for that and click on Save. So you can also enable this option, which will automatically restrict any inappropriate content on your Apple devices. So once you've saved and published this profile, you can then go ahead and associate it with your Apple devices. So your users will no longer have access to the URL specified. The next question, how can you allow only specific apps on devices? So in some organizations, if you're planning to use your devices as point of sale devices or as digital signage, you will not want the users to have access to all of the apps or functionalities on the device. So what you can do is you can lock down your device to run only on a specific set of apps that are approved by your organization. We call this kiosk mode. So let's have a look at how you can configure kiosk mode. Click on Profiles. Let's create an Android kiosk profile. Provide a name for your profile and click on Continue. Navigate to the kiosk section. So you can either choose to lock down your devices to run on a single app or multiple apps. I'm choosing to go with the multi-app kiosk mode. So you can then look for the apps that you want and add them. I'm choosing to allow the Gmail app, the Google Maps app. So in addition to adding a few apps, you can also allow specific web shortcuts as well. You can also choose to show your MEMD map on the device or hide it. However, We always recommend that your MDM app is visible on the device because this will help you initiate a sync back with the server in case your devices lose contact with the server. So once you've configured the general settings, click on Device Restrictions. So like I mentioned, if you're planning to use your devices as point of sale or digital signage, in that particular scenario, you would not want your users to have access to the volume controls or receive any important notifications. So you can choose to configure a certain level of volume which your users cannot modify, restrict your notifications, status bar, and any other functionalities that you wish, like your task manager and so on. Once you configure the device restrictions, click on the Custom Settings app. So MDM allows you to create a custom settings app on the device for your users to be able to access or modify certain basic functionalities alone. Enable this option so you can configure Wi-Fi, brightness, and mobile networks as well. After you've done configuring custom settings app, click on the Edit Screen Layout option. So this is a feature that allows you to customize how your home screen layout of the devices will be. Click on Configure Now. So you can choose to pin up certain apps or web shortcuts on the devices. And also you can make sure to disable the option where you allow your users to change the position of the apps. Once you've configured your home screen layout, click on Save and publish the profile. Once you publish the profile, you can go ahead and associate it with all of your devices, and they will be locked down into kiosk mode. So let's take a look at how kiosk mode looks on the devices. So on this left image, you can see that this device has been locked down into single app kiosk mode, where only the Google Maps app has been allowed. The user will not have access to any other apps and cannot exit this as well. On the right image, you can see a multi-app kiosk mode device, where all of the enterprise approved apps are here, along with a few web shortcuts as well. Anything apart from this will not be able to be accessed by the users. To the next question, how can you troubleshoot devices of remote users? So generally, if there are any issues with the device that you have provided from your organization, or if the device is outside the organization with a field agent and then there's an issue, or simply the fact that your field agents are not too technically adept. So in such a scenario, you can initiate a remote troubleshooting session on your devices. So let's take a look at how to do this. On the MDM server, click on the remote control option. So this will show you a list of all of the devices that can be remotely viewed or remotely controlled. So let's say John's device. So let's say I have an employee called Andrea, and she has an issue with her device. So to resolve this issue, I will have to initiate a troubleshooting session. Click on the remote control button and select Start. So once I click on Start, there will be a prompt sent to the user's device, which they will have to accept for me to be able to control the device. Please note that this remote troubleshooting session is possible because of the integration between Zoho Assist and MDM. So once the user accepts the prompt, as you can see, I'm able to view the device screen. So this device has been provisioned into kiosk mode. So in the first place, for me to be able to troubleshoot it, I will have to provision it out of kiosk mode, for which I will use remote chat commands provided by MDM. I'm using the exit kiosk command. Once the kiosk gets paused, I will have access to the rest of the device. I can go ahead and configure any settings or functionalities on the device to be able to troubleshoot it. So once I'm done troubleshooting the device, I will have to ensure to put this device back into kiosk mode, for which I'm using the enter kiosk command. The kiosk mode will be resumed on this device again. Similar to these commands, MDM also offers other remote chat commands for you to be able to log or go to the home button of your device. So once you're done troubleshooting, click on Exit and select End Now. Click on Close to end your session. So the next question, how can you restrict devices from leaving a certain area? So in some companies, they might have strict security policies where you do not want your devices to leave a certain boundary. So what you can do is you can keep certain location-based commands that will be executed on the devices if they leave a set boundary. So you can do this by using geofencing. Under the geofencing option, click on Fence Repository and select Create a Fence. Provide a name for your fence. And once your map shows up, you can configure a fence radius as well. We allow you to configure a fence radius as large as 500 kilometers. Bring up a boundary and select Create. So this fence that you create will be added to your fence repository. Now that we are done with this step, click on Fence Policy now. Click on Create a Policy. Choose the policy, choose the fence that we just created. And now you can go ahead and define certain actions when a device is marked non-compliant. A device is marked non-compliant if it leaves this boundary. So I can choose to immediately take action on the device or take action after a day. You can even choose to notify the device and then execute a command or simply take action on the device. So the commands that you can execute, you can either choose to put this device into a lost mode to restrict any unauthorized access of a stolen device, or you can choose to completely wipe all of the data, settings, and apps of a device. Once you click on Create Policy, you can then associate this policy with your groups and devices. You can choose different groups or devices and click on Associate, so that whenever a device leaves the specified boundary, the actions that you have configured will be automatically executed on them. So in this section, I will be talking about OS updates, which are very important for your mobile devices. So the disadvantages of running an outdated OS version. Firstly, you could be missing out on some important security updates. And also, the older your OS version is, your devices will tend to get slower with time. But on the other hand, if you choose to simultaneously update the OS on all of your devices, this can lead to a loss in productivity because your devices will have to restart during an update. Your in-house apps might not be compatible with the OS update if you do not check it prior to deploying it, and this might lead to other issues. If you choose to update the OS on all of your devices at the same time, this can cause bandwidth choking. So to avoid all of these issues, Mobile Device Manager Plus allows you to systematically schedule and automate your OS updates. The benefits of this is that it is a one-time setup, and you do not need to reconfigure any OS update policy. We provide options for you to immediately deploy or delay the deployment of your OS on your devices. You can also notify your users about the updates to keep them aware and even give them the option of skipping the update for a few days. So let's take a look at how you can automate and schedule your OS updates. Click on the Automate OS Updates option and select Create a Policy. I'm choosing to create an Android policy. Provide a name for your policy. And like I mentioned earlier, here you will see that you can immediately deploy the OS or delay it for a certain number of days. You can also configure a deployment schedule based on your preferred week, day, and even a specific time. You can enable this option to notify your users about the OS update to keep them informed. You can enable this option here to allow your users to skip OS deployment for a specific number of days. Click on Save to add this policy. Once your policy has been added, select the policy and then go ahead and distribute it to your groups and devices. Once you've associated it, anytime there's an OS update available, it will be deployed to the devices based on your preferences in this policy. So like I mentioned, since mobile devices are compact and can get easily misplaced or stolen, this puts the corporate data on your devices at risk, which you would not want. So let's take a look at how you can secure your device in case of such a scenario. Click on the Inventory tab. Here you can see a list of all of the devices that you're managing. Let's say I have received a complaint that Andrea's device is missing. So what I can immediately do is click on Actions and select Enable Lost Mode. So here I can provide a contact number and a message to be remotely displayed on the device. Click on Next, and you can even enforce a new passcode on the device to prevent any unauthorized access. Click on Locate, and once you do, this is how the device will appear. So as you can see, the mobile number and the message has been displayed here. So whoever finds this device can use these details to return it back to the organization. But unfortunately, let's say it's been a few days and this device has not been returned back to my organization. As an IT admin, I would be concerned about the data on the device if it has been misused. So to prevent any unauthorized access of corporate data, click on Actions, and you will have two options here to erase the data on the device. So the first option, Complete Wipe, is a factory reset, which will remove all of the data from the devices. And a corporate wipe, it will remove only the corporate data from the device. Any apps, content, or policies that you have distributed through MDM will be removed if you select corporate wipe. So this is how you can secure your devices if they are misplaced. So let's take a look at a few scenarios and discuss the solutions for them. Scenario 1. How can we prevent users from uninstalling corporate apps from devices? So every organization would have a set of apps that they consider important, which you would not want your users to uninstall from corporate devices. So to prevent them from doing so, click on Device Management, click on Profiles, and let's create a profile. I'm choosing to go with an Android profile. Select Restrictions, and under Applications, the second restriction here says Uninstalling apps. So you can restrict this option, save, and publish this profile so that your users will not be able to uninstall any apps. Scenario 2. A user has reset the device and left the organization. Upon reactivating the device, we are prompted to enter the user's credentials. Can Mobile Device Manager Plus help us? So this scenario has occurred because of factory reset protection. Factory reset protection is a security feature that is enabled by default on all Android devices. This is mainly to ensure that no unauthorized person gets access to a device as soon as it is factory reset. But in such a scenario, it has left the organization locked out of their own device. So to ensure that this does not happen, under Profiles, click on EFRP. So here you can enter in your email ID, obtain an account ID, and enter it here. Once you save and publish this profile to all of your Android groups and devices, even if a device has been factory reset, you can use these credentials to gain access back into your device. Scenario 3. How can we prevent users from turning off locations on their Android devices? So in some companies, say your logistics operations companies, you would not want your users to turn off location services on their devices. So to prevent this, under Restrictions, click on Location Settings. And here you will have three options under Location Services. You can either choose to give the user control over this function, keep the location services as always off or always on. So in this scenario, you do not want your users to turn it off, so click on Always On and select OK. Save and publish this profile to your groups and devices. This will ensure that your users cannot modify the location services. Scenario 4. We need certain apps to be used only for a specific amount of time. Can MDM help us? So in a scenario where you do not want your users to have access to an app after a certain task is done, in that case, you can use autonomous apps. These apps can be used for your iOS device. So let's create an iOS profile this time. Select Kiosk. So while you are configuring your kiosk mode, here you have three options: single app, multi-app, and autonomous apps. Click on the autonomous apps and enter in the name of the app that you're looking for. Once you've added the required apps, you can save and publish this profile to your devices. Now you need to note that any configuration for the app needs to be done on the app itself. We have come to the end of our session, so you can rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the best. If you like the training, you can spread a word about us on social media by using the hashtag #MobileDeviceManager+. Tune in for our next training program where we will cover the modern management of Windows 10 and Mac devices. It is on the 31st of August at the same time. Thank you and have a nice day.